Your lesson is over. Operations with negative fractions. And the goal of this lesson is to simplify expressions involving all four operations that include negative fractions. Now, at this point, we should be pretty comfortable with fractions and how to operate with them, along with negatives and integers. So, we're just combining rules that you already know into one problem. So we'll start with addition. Let me get this out of the way. So recall how we add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators. We find a common denominator, multiply each part of the fraction by the same number to reach that common denominator, and then we simplify. So it's kind of like what you've been asked on your skill drills, okay, this week. So whether the fractions are negative or positive, this process remains the same. So let's go ahead and apply the rules of integers to these fraction problems. Now I'm going to get rid of this for a second so I can extend the page, bring the shade back down so we can go ahead and try one at a time. So 1/2 plus -4/7. So a common denominator we can use for these is 14. So 1/2 becomes 7/14 because we do times 7 from here to here. Do the same thing for the 1. So we've got 7/14. Now this one is negative. So we did 7 times 2 to get here. And we do 4 times 2, so a little crossover there, to get 8. So our problem, let's kind of clean it up a little bit, becomes 7/14 plus -8/14. Well, we know we have 14 as our denominator, and 7 plus -8 on top, so that's -1. Now that negative sign can go anywhere. It can be written like that. It can be written as -1/14. You can even have 1/-14. All of these answers mean the exact same thing. As long as you have one negative sign there, you are good. So if you want to go ahead and try the next one on your own, it's fine. You can pause the video now or stay with me as I go through it. -3/5 minus 1/4. Our addition and subtraction rules are the same as shown above. So we have a common denominator of 20. So 3/5 becomes 12/20. Multiply both things by 4. And 1/4 becomes 5/20. Multiply each part by 5. So from here, it's -12/20 minus 5/20. Well, we know our common denominator is 20. On top, we have -12 minus 5. To this point, we should know it's -17. So -17/20, you can write it as -17/20 that way. Either way is fine. Moving on to multiplication. I still hold that multiplication is the easiest operation to do with integers and fractions. So to multiply fractions, remember we look for simplification. If we can simplify either fraction by checking either numerator or denominator for common factors. Multiply straight across, which is nice because we don't need any common denominators. And that's it. So we apply our negative rules to multiplication. So we get the screen shade back. So we've got -4/9 times -3/8. We know the answer is going to be positive because negative times a negative. Well, look for simplification, the 9 and 3. We can divide 3 out of each. 4 and 8, we can divide 4 out of each. Leaves us with 1/6. And again, because we're double negative, our answer is positive. So 1/6 is the answer. Now we can pause the video if you want, try on your own, or stay with me, mixed numbers. We're only going to add one additional step here, and that is making each of them an improper fraction. So 1 2/5 becomes 7/5. -2.5 becomes -5/2. Now multiplying a positive by a negative, we know the answer here is going to be a negative. and we look for anything we can cancel or simplify, we can divide each of those 5s by 5. 1 leaves us with negative 7/2. That's a 2. Or if you want to make it a mixed number, it can be negative 3 and a half. Hopefully you're seeing the negatives really shouldn't be throwing you off too much. Just reapplying those rules we've worked so hard on the first part of the year here. And now for division. Very similar to multiplication, we just have to do one change before we can finish the problems off. So we divide fractions by changing our division sign to multiplication. We flip our second fraction. And again, then follow the multiplication rules from the previous slides. So divide becomes multiply, and we flip that second fraction. So let's go ahead and try these out. Move this down a little bit. There we go. So negative 2/7 divided by 6/35. Well, first fraction's the same. This becomes multiplication. And we flip that second one. Now we can look for anything to simplify. 7 and 5, we divide 7 by both of those. 7 and 35 gets us to 1 and 5. Then our 2 and 6 divide both those by 2. And there we are. So 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. Oh, I'm sorry, the negative I almost forgot about right there. So the answer is negative. And we've got negative 5/3 or negative 1 2/3. I don't mind either format. So now over here we start with mixed numbers, or one mixed number. Easy enough, make the answer improper. So negative 2 and 5/8 becomes negative 21/8. And division becomes multiplication. And flip that second fraction, which is negative. So we have a double negative here. The answer is going to be positive. We know 8 and 16. Divide out 8 from both of those. 21 and 7. Divide out 7 from both of those. We end up with 6/1, which we all should know, equals 6. That's our final answer for that. So now, go ahead and pause. Well, let me move this out of the way. Now pause the video and try these on your own and restart it to see how you did. I'm going to go ahead and work them out. 2/3 minus 5/6 becomes 4/6 minus 5/6 for an answer of minus negative 1/6. I'm sorry. So that becomes plus. So we have 4/6 plus 5/6. We have double negative there. Becomes 9/6, which in lowest terms is 3/2 or 1 and 1/2. Negative 4/7 plus negative 3/4. We have a common denominator of 28. So times 4, so we have negative 16/28 and times 7 plus negative 21/28 for an answer of negative 37/28. We've got no common factors there because 37 is prime. And finally, for division, negative 3 3/5 divided by negative 9/20. So let's make this improper. So we've got negative 18/5. And we'll go ahead and do the change here, times negative 29. Well, we've got divide out 5 there, so we have 1 and 4. Divide out a 9 here for our 2 and 1. Multiply through, we have double negative, so remember, don't lose those signs like I almost do. We end up with positive 8/1, which we all know equals 8. This concludes your lesson over negative fractions.